Hello there. Welcome and welcome back. My name is Tyler. I've been reading a chapter from the book of Luke every day until we finish it. Unfortunately, it's raining a lot today, so I'm not able to go out into the field. And I have to kind of be inside but outside. I don't want it to rain on my Bible, and yeah. Before we get into the reading, which is chapter 21, Widows' Two Mites, the Signs of the End Times, Destruction of Jerusalem, and the Coming of the Son of Man, and the Parable of the Fig Tree. Before we get into that, something to share. Oh man, a large water dropped out of my Bible. That's unfortunate. Something to share. I don't have much to share today. I guess something to share. I guess a fact about me. I actually served in the U.S. Army as an infantryman. I served in the 2nd Brigade Combat Team, 2nd Battalion, 1st Infantry Regiment in Fort Lewis, Washington. I served in C Company, mostly stayed in 3rd Platoon. I know a lot of this stuff probably doesn't make any sense, but if there's any military folk out there, they'd understand. But really all I did was train as an infantryman for a couple years. Infantrymen are what you would consider to be the main fighting force of the U.S. Army. So they're the guys that, I mean, I guess kind of what you think a soldier is, you know, the guys that go out and fight in wars and things like that, you know, shoot guns and deploy. So I served as a part of that job. It was a lot of fun. It was very difficult. The environment wasn't really Christian friendly. I wasn't a Christian at this time. There's a lot of toxic environments, a lot of negative behavior, a lot of anger, a lot of just, to be honest, as an 18-year-old fresh out of high school, I don't think the Army is a good place to go if you want to grow mentally, or emotionally, I should say. Growing mentally, yes, but emotionally, probably not. I fell into a lot of sin while I was in the Army because it was all just readily available, and I didn't know any better. But I grew physically, and I did grow mentally. I developed a mindset of kind of like, I understand that I'm tired and I'm hurting and I'm hating my life, but I have to do this and I have to get this done because there is absolutely no other option. I kind of developed that mindset, and that mindset has carried me a long way. But like I said, emotionally, I was still a child for a long time. Very angry, temper tantrums, very unhinged behavior, things like that. But, you know, I've grown a long way, thank God. And it wasn't really until I became a Christian that my emotional growth accelerated, because understanding Jesus and his love helped me understand how to, I don't know, just gave me a blueprint, if that makes sense. But yeah, I served in the Army. I didn't deploy, but I did a lot of training, shot a lot of guns, blew stuff up, did a lot of training exercises. It was a lot of fun. But to the guys out there, if you're in high school, I gotta be honest, it's not something I'd recommend right out of high school. And give yourself a couple years to kind of grow up a little bit, and then maybe go in. But yeah, that's all I got. Just pulling it out of a hat, because I don't really know what else to say. So without further ado, let's get into Luke 21. The widow's two mites. And he looked up and saw the rich putting their gifts into the treasury. And he saw also a certain poor widow putting in 2 mites. So he said, "Truly I say to you, that this poor widow has put in more than all. For all these out of their abundance have put in offerings for God, but she out of her poverty put in all the livelihood that she had." very powerful there, in my opinion. Verse 5, the destruction of the temple predicted. Then as some spoke of the temple, how it was adorned with beautiful stones and donations, he said, these things which you see, the days will come in which not one stone shall be left upon another that shall not be thrown down. The signs of the times and the end of age. So they asked him, saying, Teacher, but when will these things be? And what sign will there be when these things are about to take place? And he said, Take heed that you do not be deceived. For many will come in my name, saying, I am he, and the time has drawn near. Therefore do not go after them. But when you hear of wars and commotions, do not be terrified, for these things must come to pass first. But the end will not come immediately. Then he said to them, Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be great earthquakes in various places, and famines and pestilences, and there will be fearful sights and great signs from heaven. But before all these things, they will lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and prisons. You will be brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. But it will turn out for you as an occasion for testimony. Therefore settle it in your hearts, not to meditate beforehand on what you will answer. For I will give you a mouth and wisdom, which all your adversaries will not be able to contradict or resist. You will be betrayed even by parents and brothers, relatives and friends, and they will put some of you to death. And you will be hated by all for my name's sake, but not a hair on your head shall be lost. But your patience possess your souls. No, by your patience possess your souls. Pause. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Verse 9, he says, You hear of wars and commotions. Do not be terrified, for these things must come to pass first, but the end will not come immediately. So when you hear commotions or rumors of wars, these things must come to pass before the end. The end will not come immediately. There will be earthquakes, famines, pestilences, and there will be fearful sights and great signs from heaven. But they will also, but before all of these things happen, in verse 12 it says, they will lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and prisons. You will be brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. So when the Christian persecution begins, take heed. Take heed. When the Christian persecution begins, be wary for what Jesus speaks in Luke 21. Because things will follow. I believe the Christian persecution might be the first step before the end of times. But we're going to resume at verse 20. Destruction of Jerusalem. But when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then know that its desolation is near. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let those who are in the midst of her depart. And let not those who are in the country enter her. For these are the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe to those who are pregnant and to those who are nursing babies in those days, for there will be a great distress in the land and wrath upon his people. And they will fall by the edge of the sword and be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem will be trampled by Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles are fulfilled. Now, I'm not entirely sure if he's talking about the destruction of the temple following the ascendance of Jesus Christ into heaven, or if he's talking about the end times. Because if you think about it right now, Israel, other than Lebanon to the north of Israel, is surrounded by Muslim nations. And obviously, tensions between Muslims and Christians. Muslims don't often like to admit that the tension is there, but the tension is there. Absolutely. There's no way around it. Like, I'm sorry. It is. resuming at 25, the coming of the Son of Man. And there will be a sign in the sun, in the moon, and in the stars, and on the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. Distress of nations with perplexity. Men's hearts failing them from fear and the expectation of those things which are coming on earth. For the powers of heavens will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in a great cloud with power and great glory. Now when these things begin to happen, look up and lift your heads, because your redemption draws near. Beautiful. It says men's hearts will fail due to fear. I wonder if we'll be so scared that we'll die. 29. Then Jesus spoke to them a parable. Look at the fig tree and all the trees. When they are already budding, you see and know for yourselves that summer is now near. So you also, when you see these things happening, know that the kingdom of God is near. Assuredly I say to you, this generation will by no means pass away till all things take place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will by no means pass away. The importance of watching. But take heed to yourselves, lest your hearts be weighed down with caressing, drunkenness, and cares of this life, that the day come on you unexpectedly. For it will come as a snare on all those who dwell on the face of the whole earth. Watch therefore and pray always, that you may be counted worthy to escape all these things that will come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. And in the daytime he was teaching in the temple, but at night he went out and stayed in the mountain called Olivet. Then early in the morning all the people came to him in the temple to hear him. Pause. So it says 36, watch therefore and pray always, that you may be counted worthy to escape all these things that will come to pass. Is that a hint towards a rapture? Escaping for what has come to pass? I'm not sure. Let me know what you think. I'm curious. Are you a rapture believer or not? Personally, I'd like to say yes, because I don't really want to be involved in the tribulation by any means whatsoever. But that's just my personal opinion. That was chapter 21. Tomorrow will be 22. We have about 3 days left. Until then, we'll see ya.